Hello, Mary. How are you today? I'm glad you're here. I'm from Mary's Home Sweet Home Creations, and I'm also independent consultant prepper chef. And today I'm here to show you uh, the almond cookies that I make for Christmas. Usually, do a lot of baking at Christmas time. Um, and these are some that I would put in a gift basket for friends, family. And you have to like almond, of course, because they have almond flavoring and they have sliced almonds on top. So um, if you're allergic to almonds, you probably don't want to eat these. And you can substitute if you like the way these look and you like the recipe, you can change the almond to a lemon cookie or just a vanilla shortbread cookies. Well, it's a little softer than a shortbread cookie, so um, but you can change that flavoring if somebody's allergic to it. These are ones that I do make with almond because it's obvious they're almond because they have almond uh, slices on top, so then no one's going to accidentally eat it if they were. Where the candy canes, if they don't know they're almond, they could maybe eat one not knowing they had almond flavoring. So these are pretty distinct that they are almond cookies. So the recipe that I use is pretty simple, like a lot of cookie recipes usually are, unless you're doing one that like the combination of oatmeal, chocolate chip, and there's a lot of ingredients, more ingredients. This one takes a half a cup of margarine or butter. I did a double batch because I like them and they're nice fillers in a basket or on a platter. Um, so a half a cup of margarine or butter, uh, 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour, and 1 cup of sugar and 1 egg. 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a half a teaspoon of almond extract. Okay. And then on the side you have milk. I just got a little cup of milk and your sliced almonds, and those go on top. So these are going to bake at 325. And the way this recipe works is you take if you're doing just one batch, you didn't double, you divide it into 4 balls of dough, and then you're going to roll them into strips. I like to use this Peppered Chef product because it's really handy for these, because you don't want them super wide. Actually, they do best if you keep them, I think they're saying 3 inches wide, which this one is. Oh, I'll show you that. Hang on 1 second. So I got my new order the other day, and on their sheets, their cutting sheets, they have rulers. Pampered Chef does, so that's helpful. Like for something like this, you're not sure what is 3 inches gonna look like. Some have centimeters, and some have standard cutting measurements. This one is going to show us here 3 inches would be like right there. So on this one, the small end is 2 inches and the large is 4 inches. So somewhere in between those two is as wide as you want these to be. And these are really convenient for quick, easy cutting. And you always want to cut on the shiny side of these. They will wear eventually, but this is the side that's made for cutting. the shiny side. The rougher side is your downside to keep it from sliding. Okay, so you'll find those in the Pamper Chef catalogs. And each one tells you a little something, like the type of knives and what they do. This one is, oops. This just tells you what size, proportions, julienne, large dicing, small, medium dicing. So you have some idea what that means if it's in your recipes. This one's just kind of a fun thing. If you don't have any way of measuring things, some people like me, sometimes I don't measure, but you can tell by certain things, like this much is a tablespoon, you know, or a teaspoon. So it just gives you some ideas with your hand how you could kind of figure that out. But hopefully you have the Pampered Chef measuring cups and spoons, but that's what that is for. So that just gave you an idea like how wide these need to be. So we're going to go ahead. I always do mine on a cutting board. I think it's just something I'm used to from growing up in the bakery. And I'm going to put my dough on here and start rolling it out. So since we're making strips, I've showed you before how I kind of go back and forth from side to side to make a rounder rolling out, like for pies, or when you're doing cutout cookies, you want to get the most out of your dough as you can. Now these are going to be in thickness. They're going to be, let's see what they're telling us to do. I kind of just do these. I don't really always read the recipe every time. So you want it about 12 inches long. Now the thing about these is they spread a lot. So you need to give it a lot of room between the strips. Okay. So these usually get cut after the baking. So a lot of times I've made them too wide or too thick, and then they spread into each other. So the perfect way to do it is to just keep bringing this back into a strip as you're rolling it, and making sure you get it down to probably a 1/8 to 1/4 inch thickness, because like I said, these are going to spread. Okay, so once you get that rolled out, now you can do this right on the pan, so you don't have to move it. It's what they usually suggest. But once this is baked, you're going to slice it into sections long, like 2 inch and a half sections of cookie. So the end piece might get cut off because it'll probably be a little rounder. And the other thing is you want to make sure that your oven's all heated up at 325, because these are only going to bake, these ones bake, about where I was here. They're at 325, and they're only going to bake for 12 to 14 minutes at that temperature. So this is a little thinner. So you can just push it back in and kind of make it a little thicker again if you get too thin. Okay, and So I'm going to just lift this and put it right onto my pan here. Okay. So now that's one. So you could fit, I would say I only put three because they do spread, and I've had them spread together more than once. So it's better to have more room and just do another tray of them. And since I did double, that's going to be more strips. So. And then you could just roll it back out a little bit on your tray, on your pan. Okay, so that's how you do those ones. And then once I have them on the tray, then I'm going to use a brush to brush on the milk. And Pampered Chef also has a nice brush for this. The one I have, this Pampered Chef, I use for barbecue and that type of thing. And it's a nylon brush. This one is not a nylon brush, but I like it for this type of thing because it's like a pastry brush. And then you're going to sprinkle on the almonds onto the top after you put brush on your milk. Then you're going to put on those sliced almonds over the top. And these are going to get a little brown in the oven because they'll get a little roasted kind of in there, which makes them better, I think. But then once these are baked and you cut them, well, you can put the icing on before or after you cut them, but most people might do it before. You make just a nice icing, drip icing, like you would put on powdered sugar, milk, and a little bit of butter in that. Some people put cornstarch when they're doing cookies, but you're just making a little icing that you drizzle over the top. Okay, so that is one strip of cookies. So then you're going to probably get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 cookies out of that strip. But and then you're going to have 3 more in that batch. So, but I also wanted to show you, I'm going to try this cookie cutter. It's a cookie cutter I got. It's a Pampered Chef one, and it rolls. It's not like your cutout cookies that you just press in one cookie at a time and cut them out. This one actually rolls. And I tried it with chocolate chip cookies just to see what it did, but now that I have this dough, I wanted to try it and see if it would cut these prior to putting them on, and then you wouldn't cut them at all after, because it's just the right size, really. It's one thing that they have on it. There's different attachments to this one. There's like 3 attachments, but the one that I want to try on this is this really pretty fancy ribbity one. This is a heart, and this is just like a round one. So you can just pull this handle off. Just I did it a few times. Yeah, you just pull it out because it's plastic, and the little prongs go right inside there, and you push it back to put in the next one. Okay. Okay, so it just slides right in there. Okay, so this one, see if it works on this. It might be a little thinner than 3. I can't tell without my little ruler over here. So, and then you just go here, It reminds me of raviolis when you cut it. And I thought you could make raviolis if you know how to make the pasta. Okay, so I did that a little crooked, so I didn't get both edges. So I gotta be straighter about that. But that's what it would look like. If you wanted to make them square with the little fancy edge, you could pre-cut them and then put them on your tray, and then add your milk and almonds and your icing afterwards, and it will give it a different look. I'm gonna try and go down that side and see what happens. There we go. So some of these will be a little bit smaller because I had to recut those edges. But they're pretty cute. I think I like them. And instead of having a long strip, you have a square strip. Or square. And then you can lay those out on your tray. So that's another idea that you could do. And then put your milk on each one, and then your almonds like that. And then when these are all baked, I'll come back and show you the result of that. And I'll make up some icing so I can show you how to drizzle. The icing I have now is for cutout cookies, and they're really bright colors. So, I mean, you can do that if you want, or you can even add a little colored sugar to them for the holidays. So, but I'll show you once you get the milk brushed on and the almonds. So you have those, that look. Okay, so I will be back in a few minutes to show you what they look like when they're baked and with the icing on them. Hello, I'm back and I am done cutting, baking, and drizzling the icing over the top. And I put the milk and almonds on before bake, which I told you. So this is what they look like when they're all done. The pink ones, I didn't like super love them because they're supposed to be a little more fancy than that. So I added some white over the top of that, so it has pink and white. And then these have just the white icing on them. And I used that cutter, made them square, so they're a little bit bigger. This is about the size I usually make for those, because they're pretty rich for because they're almond. But if you love almond, it won't matter because they are good. So that is the recipe and how to bake the almond cookies. So I hope you try it. I hope you learned something today, and I will take them off the rack and put them on a tray and cover them if we're going to eat them right away. But probably if I'm putting them in my Christmas baskets or what I decide to put them on, I will freeze them. You can freeze them. Sometimes I ice them after I've frozen them so the icing doesn't get all cracky. But we'll see. So have a great day, evening, or morning whenever you're watching this. Thanks for coming.